Namaste, everyone. Welcome to our inaugural workshop hosted by the Kailash-foundation in collaboration with Atmavan Wellness. Before we delve into today's workshop, I want to take a moment to introduce the lovely young lady who will be leading us all today. Her name is Dr. Aparna. She is a senior Ayurvedic practitioner who has trained under the legendary Dr. Vasant Lad at the Ayurvedic Institute in Asheville, North Carolina. She dedicated 4 rigorous years of studying Ayurveda, Marma, Nadi Pariksha, Ayur Yoga, and Pranayama under his direct guidance. And complementing all of this, she is also a certified yoga instructor. And in addition to her extensive roots in traditional Indian wisdom and science, she is an allopathic medical doctor, graduated with her MBBS MD. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Aparna.
Namaste, namaskaram, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, Mana, for those wonderful words. And thank you, Kailash-foundation, for facilitating this workshop. And without any further ado, let's get started. Let's start off with a prayer. So everybody can just put their hands together. Vakratundra Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Devo Sarvakarishu Sarvada Siddhi Buddhi Shakti Sahita Srimad Mahaganadhipataye Namo Namaha Nirvignam Kur. So first of all, I would like to thank my Guru, Dr. Vasant Lad, and his lineage of his Guru, Hambir Baba, and his Guru. So the lineage of Gurus who have preserved, practiced, and propagated this science and kept it alive. It is my honor to be here and to be able to present a small percentage of what they have kept alive. I would like to give my deepest gratitude to my Guru, Dr. Vasant Lad, and without him, I would not be here today. So I have deepest gratitude towards him. And so let's start off with our pranayama workshop, starting off with what is prana? What is pranayama? So first of all, when we look at our different Vedas and our texts, what is prana? So can we reduce prana to just breath? Is prana our life force? Is it, as the Chinese call it, the chi energy? Without prana, is it a living thing? Is it consciousness? Is it matter? So there's so much confusion about what is prana and what is pranayama. So when we think of prana and pranayama, sometimes we just reduce it to breath control. But to call it breath control would not be doing it justice. So when we talk about prana and we think of all the texts that are written about prana, pranayama, so prana, while it is life force, in the Sankhya philosophy, it is also vibration. It is vibration between your Purusha and your Prakriti. So it's vibration between the primordial mother and the primordial father. It is that energy that creates this universe. So it is the Matrishwan. So it is cosmic prana. And there's also individual prana, which all of us embody. And pranayama is that connects us to that higher prana, connects our physical body to that cosmic realm. And so reducing it to just breath work is not going to do it justice because it is an advanced science. And in Sankhya philosophy, we say that prana is also part of the mind. So we say it's part of the mind in the sense it's part of the internal process of the mind. So if you think of the antakarana process, which is your inner apparatus, prana is what moves your mind. So when prana flows, the mind flows with it. So if prana is muddied, if the river is muddy, you'll never be able to see clearly what is in the river, what is outside the river, what is going on in that river. So pranayama clears that field. So imagine a stream that's clear and a muddy stream you cannot see anything. So pranayama's goal, or the goal with pranayama, is to make that muddy stream clear. So it clears your perception, it clears your awareness, it brings clarity of perception, it brings attention to awareness. And that is the goal of pranayama, to make sure that when we control our breath, we control our perception. It enhances our awareness. So how, when we think of pranayama or prana, in the yogic text, it says that do pranayama only once you have learned how to sit in asana. So the basic of pranayama is being able to sit in one place, at least for 5-10 minutes, so that you can do a basic pranayama process. So the first thing is it's everybody who's joining us today. I hope we are seated in a comfortable position, and we are make sure that you are facing north or east or northeast. It's just one of the things that my guru said, better to face the north or northeast, to just align yourself to the energies of that. And as we go forward, let's make sure everybody's here this morning. I know it's a Sunday morning, so I'm grateful for everybody who's taken the time to be here. And as we go more into prana and pranayama, a little bit more about prana per se. In the Yoga Sutras, we say prana or pranayama is tatha kshiyate prakasha avaranam. So it is removing the veil from your brightness. So it is removing the veil of your or rajasic tendencies so that your chitta vrittis are cleared and there is clarity of your own inner light. And in the Gheranda Samhita, it says that pranayama, as you sit deeper and deeper into pranayama, it breaks all the granthis in your body. So all the knots, the physical and the energetic knots in your body, it breaks through those knots and it creates an opening in the heart where there is space, a void where divinity can live in that void. So that is all the different texts that talk about pranayama. Talk about it much more than just breathing. But it is also the one physical activity that we can control. So while there might be all these esoteric things of, consciousness and meditation and mukta mind and being free, liberated, we are in control of it because we are in control of our breath. And that breath is in control of our mind. And our mind is the seat of how we control our being. So while these concepts are esoteric, philosophical, deep, they're also in our own hands, in our breath. So it is something that we can do every day to connect with the divine every day and remind ourselves that, yes, my breath, my body, but also my connection to my higher self. So any questions, queries, anything like that?
Sure. Yeah. So one question that I've thought of this as well is whether so I've heard that, or maybe just this rumored, I'm not sure, if there is requirement to be initiated by a guru in order to practice pranayama, because that's something that I have seen floating around. So if that's something you could just shed some light on.
So there are some types of pranayamas with mantras, and especially like the Gayatri, where you do mantras along with your inhalation and exhalation, bija mantras to be exact. And those definitely you'll have to be initiated by a guru of a certain lineage or your lineage or whatever. But otherwise, just to practice pranayama, the important thing is to have a good teacher, because there are some more active pranayamas that are not for everybody. But overall, as long as you have a good pranayama teacher and you learn the technique correct, it is okay for anybody to practice, and you don't require initiation.
Okay, so it's only if there's these mantras involved.
Yes.
Okay.
And if it's from a certain tradition, like if you have a smarta tradition, so they have, and there are specific bhuta where they do a shuddhi of all your elemental. So our body, in Ayurveda, we say that our body is a panchamahabhautika. Like we are made of the 5 elements. And the clearing of those 5 elements before you do a ritual practice is called bhuta shuddhi. So some bhuta shuddhi practices are also only initiated by certain lineages. And so those are things that need initiation.
Okay. Very interesting. And are there any contraindications when it comes to practicing pranayama?
So there are certain contraindications. For example, if you're sick, if you have an acute illness, if you have a fever, then definitely do not do pranayama. If you have recent surgery, you can do like really light or even psychic pranayama, but not active breathing pranayamas. And also when women have their period or on their moon cycle, it's advised not to do pranayamas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you, oh, sure. Sorry, you can finish
No, go
first.
ahead. Go ahead.
Psychic breathing. That's the first time I'm hearing of that.
Okay, so I guess this is more advanced, but as you perfect breathing, your physical, when you start connecting with your breath and you go more subtle and you realize that okay, now I'm breathing more from my right side, now I'm breathing more with my left side. What you can do is anywhere you're sitting, you can just imagine, or you can actually direct your breath going in from one nostril, coming out of the other nostril. So you're not doing anything physical. It
Oh,
is
wow.
psychic.
Okay.
So that kind of breathing is more advanced as you
Mhm.
sit and do more pranayama, but it is
Okay.
something that you can do even after like surgery, or because it's
Okay.
literally just energy.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, but for when women are on their cycle, we say
Right.
don't do pranayama, not because it's impure or anything. It's because of the vayus. Because in Ayurveda,
Okay.
we have our 5 vayus. So we have prana, udana, apana, samana. So these vayus, during your period, your apana vayu is activated. So it's a downward
Okay.
action of your vayu. And when you do pranayama, you're activating your prana vayu, which is here, like from your cranial cavity down to your thoracic cavity, and you're activating your udana vayu. So this
Right.
actually makes your apana vayu go pratiloma, in the opposite direction. And when
Mm.
that happens, it kind of messes with your flow. It's the same reason why we don't go to a temple when we have a period. Because
Right.
it's such high energy that it has an effect on your flow of your period, not really,
Okay.
nothing to do with purity, impurity, or what's allowed, not allowed. It's more
Okay.
to do with the vayus and
Flow of
the
energy.
direction of the vayus.
Okay. Okay. That's actually an interesting point because I was under the impression that because pranayama is something that's a little more gentle versus exercise. So exercise would be something not to do during period or during the menstruation phase. But knowing now that you actually shouldn't practice pranayama during that phase either is quite interesting because I personally, I wouldn't have thought that. But
But it's
that's good to know.
actually interesting because you can do certain exercises, because there are certain asanas and
Right.
exercises that will help activate your apana vayu or
Okay.
balance out your vayus. You can actually do mild yogasanas
Okay.
and stretches during your period, and even things that
Right.
work for you. Like some bodies were used to certain activities even during that actually helps you. It helps with the
Right.
pain. It helps with whatever symptoms you're going through. So it's actually
Okay.
pranayama that is more contraindicated in those times, because
Mm.
it's exactly opposite to the movement of the
Okay.
apana vayu.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Makes sense. All right. I guess we can, this will be a nice segue to our first practice this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on, the most important thing when we do pranayama is to be seated comfortably. So always find a good asana. So if everybody could find a comfortable seat, you can be seated on a chair, you can be seated on the floor. People who can sit in sukhasana, please do sit that way. If people are more comfortable on the chair, please go ahead and sit on the chair. But make sure that when you sit, your back is straight, shoulders are back, and you're comfortable in that position. So it's very important that our asana is comfortable. And once everybody's settled into their seat, let's give them a few minutes. Right. Okay. And so starting off with Anuloma Viloma Pranayama. This is a pranayama that's called the king of pranayamas. And in many texts, Anuloma Viloma Pranayama is the most popular pranayama, and that it is for a reason, because it is, first of all, not contraindicated, except for the few that I mentioned before. Anybody can do it. There are different ways to do it. There are different types of Anulom Vilom. But the type that we are going to be practicing today is a more cleansing. So let's go on to the word Anulom Vilom. Anulom Vilom literally means alternate nostril, or going one way, coming the other way. So it is this alternate breath that actually we use this alternate breathing. So it's almost like when we breathe in from our left nostril, we're breathing in from the ida side. So it is a more feminine energy. And we're breathing in that feminine energy and we're offering it to the male energy. And now this is not related to sex or male and female, sex or gender, but I'm talking about pure energy. So when we're breathing from the left side, that left side is our more feminine side. And so when we breathe in from the left, we are offering it to the male side. So we are balancing out that male energy in our bodies. And then when we breathe in from the right side, we are using that male energy and we are offering it to the feminine side. So that way, what we're doing is we are bridging these two energies that all of us have. All human beings have a female energy and a male energy. And so when we are, when we breathe in and out and do this alternate nostril breath, we are bridging the gap between these two energies and stabilizing them. And when we stabilize it, it stabilizes in the brain and the diencephalon. And when that happens, there is a connection that is formed between the two hemispheres. And this helps reduce in the HPA axis, which is your hypothalamus pituitary axis, it reduces your fight and flight mode. So it brings your body from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic mode. And it enhances a sense of calm, a sense of relaxation, but much more than that. It's more than just, oh, I'm relaxed doing meditation. And there are different types of Anuloma Viloma pranayamas. So there's one type that is more forceful. So we breathe in forcefully, we breathe out forcefully. So and then you have a more gentle type of nadi shodhana where it's just, it's almost breathing so gently that you can barely make out the flow of air. And then as I spoke earlier, you have this visualization where it's psychic, where you're just visualizing the breath going from one nostril to the other and then the other nostril to the other. So the first step in Anuloma Viloma Pranayama is a mudra. So we have the Vishnu mudra where, you tuck in your index and your middle finger, and this is how it looks. So your thumb is free and your little finger and your ring finger are out there. This is your Vishnu mudra. And this is the mudra we will use. So it's always on your right hand. So bring up your right hand, make the mudra. It's the Vishnu mudra. And you will just watch me first and then do it after I tell you. So seated straight. And a lot of people do Anuloma Viloma with their arm closer to their body, to their torso. But in our lineage, we learn to raise our hand up and to close off our nostril this way. Because when this is open, it allows your chest to expand and there's no constriction. Because the minute your hand is down, you're constricting the action of breathing and the action of the inhale and the exhale. So when your hand is up like this, it just allows your rib cage to move not only front and back, but the side. Because whenever we think of our lungs, we actually tend to forget that we breathe also from the sides and we also from the back. So our lungs are not just, oh my God, front and back, diaphragm up and down. We're also breathing in and out, back and in. So all of this, to keep that open. So remember Vishnu Mudra. So put the hand up, shoulder level, and then closing off your right nostril and always starting from the left. You inhale, and here we inhale a little forcefully. So it's not just like it's more like then closing it off. Then slowly opening the right nostril, moving your thumb away, and exhaling quite forcefully. And then inhale again through the right. Then closing off your right nostril, exhale through the left. And again, exhale a little forcefully. So this is one whole round. Closing it off, inhaling, exhaling, and then inhaling from the right and exhaling to the left. Doing it all these 4 times is one round of Anuloma Viloma Pranayama. So let's do this together. First, your hand in Vishnu Mudra. Shoulders back and down. So you can just do a few shoulder rolls. Yeah. And settle yourself. Your other hand can be in just a simple Jnana Mudra. Just relax. There's no constriction anywhere. And if you're having trouble doing this, you'll get used to keeping your hand up. And then closing off your right nostril with your thumb. Inhaling deeply. And closing off your left nostril with your little finger and ring finger. Slowly opening your right nostril. and exhaling forcefully and longer than your inhalation. Now, inhaling from your right, closing off your right nostril, and exhale it all out. So this is one round of Anuloma Viloma. So let's do this a few more times. Let's do 7 rounds of Anuloma Viloma. And if anybody has any questions, doubts, so remember you have your inhalation and exhalation. And as we go forward, we can also have a stop. So where you inhale and you hold, and then you exhale and you hold. And then, so once you start incorporating these stops, or as we call it a kumbhaka breath, that is where there's an elongation of that breath. And that is what pranayama is called, the elongation of your prana. So the minute you start having these holding of breath or retention of this breath, that is where there's a window of opportunity for the prana to heal our body. So this is why it's called pranayama, is also called either the stopping of your breath or the extension of prana. Let's do 7 rounds of Viloma Pranayama together. So remember Vishnu Mudra, hand up here, back straight, spine erect, chin down. You can bring your tongue right just behind your teeth. That just relaxes your whole jawline. And closing off your right nostril, inhaling deeply, closing off your left nostril, and exhaling long. Then again, inhale through the left, closing off your nostrils, slowly opening the left, and exhaling it all. Now again, inhale through your left, closing off your nostrils, opening your right nostril, and exhale long. Now again, inhale through your right, closing off your nostrils, opening the left nostril, and exhale. Now, as you're inhaling, notice how the breath feels on your left side. Is it cooler than while you're exhaling? Inhale from your right, closing off your right nostril, opening the left, and exhaling it all out. Now let's take a little break. Keep your eyes closed, shoulders soft, and just sit and see how your body feels. Do you feel any different? Are you breathing better from both nostrils after doing this? Are you breathing more from the left or more from the right? Just notice it, no judgment. Just notice how you feel. And just stay with your breath. Now let's do 2 more rounds. Any questions before that? Like any doubts, questions? Mala, do you see any comments asking any questions?
Nothing at the moment. One thing that has shown up is, should there ever be any practice for Anuloma Viloma specifically with holding the breath? So holding during exhale or holding during inhale, anything like that? Or is that further advanced?
No, it is. You can actually start even so as soon as you begin your pranayama practice. it's easier to just do the inhale and exhale. But when Anuloma Viloma is described in any of our texts, whether it's the Shiva Samhita, the Geranda Samhita, any of the things, it is always an inhalation, then a retention of breath, then an exhalation, and another retention of breath. You're holding your breath twice.
Okay.
And so this holding of breath increases with time. And I think that is where the magic of pranayama happens, and that is where healing happens. And that is why we as Ayurvedic practitioners and we prescribe pranayamas, because in that gap of the breath, the gap between two thoughts is where healing happens, whether it's at a cellular level, whether it's at a more gross level where it reduces your anxiety or reduces your physical symptoms. But that gap is what we're looking for. So as we slowly practice, so the first few months, it's okay to just do inhale, exhale. Because a lot of people are not even aware of how we are breathing and how much we're breathing and whether we're breathing only from the left, only from the right. And it keeps alternating where one nostril becomes more dominant than the other. And what Anuloma Viloma is known for is the cleansing of all our 72,000 nadis, which are energetic channels all over our body. So at a more energetic level, it is cleansing. It's cleansing of your energy channels. But on a physical level, it's cleansing of your lungs, because the kind of Anuloma Viloma we are doing is more active. It's an active breath. So it's cleansing of your lungs. It's good for sinusitis. It's good if you have migraines. So that's one thing you can do Anuloma Viloma when you have a migraine. If you just do a few rounds of Anuloma Viloma, you will definitely see a reduction of symptoms that make the migraine so horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do just another few rounds of Anuloma Viloma. Let's do another 2 rounds of Anuloma Viloma. And so again, be seated comfortably, eyes closed, shoulders back, chin down, and inhale the Vishnu Mudra, closing off your right nostril with your thumb. Inhale through your left, closing off, and exhale. Inhale through your right, closing it all off, and exhale. Again, inhale through your left, quite a forceful breath in, closing out your nostrils, and exhale. Inhale through your right, closing off your nostrils, and exhale. Now slowly let your hand come down. Sit comfortably in Swastikasana. Stay with your breath. Close your eyes. Just relax into your seat. Keep your back straight. And just inhale and exhale. Let's do 3-4 deep breaths. And while we sit with this feeling, there are just a few rules about when to do pranayama, when we should not do pranayama. So let's just go over some of those rules. So first of all, what time can we do pranayama? So what we prescribe is to do pranayama at the time of any sandhi, dusk, dawn and dusk. These are the 2 times that are prescribed by our texts and by most practitioners, yoga practitioners, Ayurvedic practitioners. We prescribe doing pranayama at these 2 times. But in the present day scenarios, what we actually just prefer is that you do pranayama on an empty stomach. Make sure that you haven't eaten at least for 2 hours. There's no active digestion going on. It's not bang in the middle of your work day, unless of course you're in stress mode and you can just take a few minutes off and do a little bit of, but otherwise if you're doing more active breathing, like Kapalabhati, Bhastrika, or even Agnisar pranayama. It's better to do these on an empty stomach. Actually, you should always do pranayama on an empty stomach. And typically we do it at early morning or at the dusk time, so between when the sun is setting. But there are certain pranayamas you can do before sleeping just to aid or getting into the parasympathetic mode and getting your body ready for sleep. So that's another time you can do pranayama. So these are just a few do's and don'ts with pranayama. Make sure you're not fully loaded with food. Make sure you're not drinking a lot of water at the same time. You can drink water, of course, you can drink a little bit, just a few sips so that you're not parched, but not like glugging like a whole gallon of water and then, how can I do pranayama now? So just make sure that you have that, you're not loading your body. Because in Ayurveda, we have the concept of Agni, which is your primordial fire. It's not only your digestion, it's also your cellular intelligence. So when your Agni is busy doing other things like digesting water, digesting food, or evacuating your bowels, or it's busy with other things, then it's not going to be correctly aligned with your breath. And that's when you're dysregulating your body more. So it's important to do pranayama when on an empty stomach and make sure that you find that time or that window of time to do pranayama in. So any questions about timings, rules, anything like that?
I think that about covers it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now about Anuloma Viloma pranayama. So this is a pranayama that is anybody can do it. Like it's not like specific only for this person or that person. And in Ayurveda, it's okay. It's tridoshic. People of all three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, can do this pranayama. It is, we'll call it a universal pranayama, that it is for everybody. And it is a pranayama that is easy to do, is accessible, and it is a cleansing pranayama. So we call it a prana bath. It basically bathes your body in prana. So you're inviting that cosmic prana into your individual prana to facilitate healing. And healing not only from disease, but healing also from your mind, healing your mind from its kleshas, from its distractions, from the chitta vrittis. So we are cleansing the mind, cleansing the body, and we are using our breath as that bridge to do it. So Anuloma Viloma is a pranayama that anybody can do. Even children can do Viloma. And the more gentler version in our lineage, we call it Nadi Shodhana, just so that there's a differentiation. Anuloma Viloma being the more forceful inhalation and exhalation. But then you can also do Nadi Shodhana, where you cannot even hear your breath. It's just like a gentle inhale and a gentle exhale. And another rule in Anuloma Viloma is you always start with your left and you end with again breathing out from on your left side. So that is another rule. You have a different set of pranayamas called Surya and Chandra Bhedana, where it's only the left side breathing, that is your Chandra Bhedana, and only when you do only right side, it's Surya Bhedana. That's when we are trying to either activate your ida or your pingala nadi, which are the three nadis. We have the ida nadi, the pingala nadi, and the sushumna nadi, which is your central channel. And when you do Anuloma Viloma, we are balancing ida, pingala, so that sushumna is awakened. And so how we start off with Anuloma Viloma is simple. You just start by doing 7 rounds of Anuloma Viloma. You can take a break in between, and just sit with your breath and see how your breath feels after doing it. And then just doing a simple 7 rounds of Anuloma Viloma is a good way to start this pranayama practice. And ideally, Anuloma Viloma can be done in the morning because it's more forceful and cleansing, so it actually awakens your body. So it is a pranayama that we to prescribe in our chikitsa for morning practices. So just keeping that in mind, let's move on to our next practice, which is Bhramari pranayama. And Bhramari, I think most people know, means bee or bumblebee. So this is a pranayama where we are actually humming and we are creating this bija sound, or the sound of the universe, but we are creating it within ourselves. The first step is we are closing off all the gates of our body. So we're withdrawing our senses, almost a pratyahara, where we are going inwards. And so we're closing off our ears, we're closing our eyes, we're resting our hands on our face. So that is the Shanmukhi Mudra. So you take your thumb goes into your ear, so you're closing off, and your fingers rest. You're not like clutching your face, but they're just resting comfortably. So both sides, you comfortably rest your hands. So your index fingers close to your forehead, your Agnya chakra. They're just resting lightly on your face. And while you close off all your senses and you're going inwards, you inhale, and on exhalation, you just make this humming sound from the back of your throat. But what a lot of people do is they hold their breath and they hum. That's not what we should be doing. While exhaling, we are humming. So we are first closing off the world, closing off all our external stimulation. We're closing off the outside world. We're going inwards. We can't hear much. We can't see anything. And the only thing we feel and hear is the vibration of that humming vibration. So let's practice this pranayama. So in this pranayama, let's do above 4 rounds first, and we'll take a little break and then do another 3 rounds. So just sit comfortably. Again, make sure let's do a little exercise where inhale, bring your shoulders up towards your ears, and exhale, roll them down. Inhale and exhale. Yeah. So let's get started. This Shanmukhi Mudra is simple. You just have to, your thumbs go into your ear. You're just closing the tragus. So just closing your ears, this little flap that's called the tragus. Just closing off the ears and letting your fingers rest comfortably on your face. And then inhale. And on an exhalation. So you can also tuck your chin in a little bit, because the minute you tuck your chin in, it creates a little bit of, you're just resting your jawline and you're bringing relaxation to your tongue. And so inhale here, and on exhalation, just from the back of your throat, start humming. Inhale, and on an exhalation, start humming. Inhale, and inhale. Slowly let your hands drop to your side. Keeping your eyes closed. See how you're feeling. Just stay with that sensation. Stay with your breath. How does your breath feel? Let's take a few more deep breaths. Deep inhalation and a slow, long exhalation. Now let's do 3 more rounds of Bhramari Pranayama. Remember the Shanmukhi Mudra, closing off all your senses, your eyes, your ears, your mouth, tucking the chin in slightly. Inhale, and on an exhale. Just stay with your breath. Stay with your breath. Slowly opening your eyes. Settling back in. Don't know if we have time. Do we have time to do one more pranayama? I think we can. So let's discuss a little bit about Bhramari Pranayama. So it actually, in Ashtanga Yoga, we have the yamas, the niyamas, we have asana, pranayama, pratyahara, and then going to dharana, and finally samadhi. So when we sit in asana and we do pranayama, Bhramari Pranayama is actually getting us ready for that pratyahara, that going within ourselves. So withdrawing from external senses and then connecting with the bija mantra. So bija mantra is the humming that we feel, that the vibrations of that humming. So that is the same bija mantra of the universe. So we are connecting our body to the vibrational space of the universe. And in doing that, what Bhramari Pranayama does is it relaxes our body in a way, in the sense that, for example, our vagus nerve. So there's something called the polyvagal theory, where the vagus nerve, which is both a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nerve. So this nerve gets relaxed in this process of humming because the vibrations of the humming allow that vagus nerve to again go more into the parasympathetic mode. So it relaxes your diaphragm, it relaxes your body. Sometimes we hold ourselves so tight we don't even realize it. But when we start humming, everything starts relaxing, right from your toes, your thighs, your internal organs, everything starts relaxing a little bit. And the minute that relaxes, it gives our body that space, the space to breathe more deeply, the space to get more oxygenation happening, the space to create more prana inside us. So we are not separate from the universe. There is a cosmic prana. There's prana in everything around us. There's prana in food. There's prana in air. There's prana in everything that we consume. So just capitalizing on that prana, and Bhramari does it on a more vibrational level. So it's not some weird esoteric sort of thing. It's real science, and it's real techniques that help us access these more esoteric areas in our lives. For example, when you're humming and you do this Bhramari pranayama for longer, you almost go into a state of, I wouldn't call it liberation, but close to what you will feel in a mother's womb. We were talking about Bhramari Pranayama and how when we withdraw our senses and we go inside, it's almost like we're back in our mother's womb. So we're in the womb of this, almost the cosmic womb. So when we go into this cosmic womb, nothing is as inviting as being in that womb space, because that's where you can actually relax and just allow the universe to look after yourself, like how a mother looks after a fetus in her womb. So that is what we are inviting when we do Bhramari Pranayama. And Bhramari Pranayama is a pranayama that you can do at night time. You can do it before you go to bed. So just before going to bed, you can even lay down and do it, because as long as your spine is straight, you can lay down and do it. And that just will give you the most beautiful, long, deep sleep. And so a lot of people who have insomnia, who have anxiety, Bhramari Pranayama is a beautiful pranayama to start incorporating into your life. So any questions about Bhramari Pranayama?
About Bhramari, let me see. Actually, back to Anuloma Viloma. There's nothing specific about Bhramari, but when you touched on the breathing from one nostril or the other, what would be circumstances under which somebody would do just the right or just the left?
Okay, so sometimes more pitta individuals, so people who have more fire or water energy in them, so they're more fiery in nature, they have too much pitta and they're completely heated. What you can do is you close off your right nostril and you only breathe through your left. So then
Okay.
you're activating your ida nadi, and that's more cooling. So it's the energy of the moon. It's a cooling energy, and this is more dosha related to your pitta dosha. But you can also do chandra bhedana, which is breathing from your left nostril. You can do it depending on where you are. For example, if you need to be more creative and you need to be more poetic, or you're in a state of more, it's the weekend and you want to unwind. So that's more your left nostril breathing. So if you want to get into more of a creative mode, you do the left side. If you are more in an administrative mode, where you need to go to the bank, you need to study, then you activate your Surya Nadi. So you do the Surya Bhedana. So that's when you do the right side nostril breathing. So it's also energetic, it's also dosha related, and you can, but with Chandra and Surya Bhedana, that as we go deeper into pranayama, we can look at these other specific pranayamas. But this is just the basis of it. There's more as you go deeper. But the basis of it is that you can actually use it depending on what you're trying to do or what you're planning to do.
Okay. Makes sense. So it looks like we've got about 5 more minutes or so. I don't see any new questions. Let me just give it one last scroll here. Anything else we want to add? Go for it. Yeah, we're approaching the hour mark. But I will definitely say, so when you mentioned that Anuloma Viloma is something that children can practice, that was one pranayam that I was never patient enough to sit down and do. But you definitely made it sound a lot more enticing, I think. Bhramari was actually the one that I spent more time doing as a kid. It just was a little more engaging, I think, for someone like me when I was little. But no, this has been really quite, just hearing everything from you, I think just brought in a new perspective to things. So this was really cool.
It's interesting that you said that you enjoyed doing Bhramari more as a kid. And so that's because kids always like a noise. They always like
Exactly.
they always like a movement. They like, oh, look at me, I'm a bee. So that's why kids are more, they're happier doing, Bhramari. But you're actually making a noise with it, and
Yeah,
it's
it
not
was more
boring.
stimulating or engaging.
Yeah, exactly. And that vibrations, I think we're more, and even maybe subconsciously, again, that makes us feel like we're back in our mother's womb and we
Yeah.
don't know
Oh,
it.
that's true, actually. It's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's one way to look at Bhramari Pranayama. But the reason why I chose Anuloma Viloma Pranayama and Bhramari Pranayama, these are two pranayamas that you should not worry about. In the sense, people with high blood pressure, people with cardiovascular problems, anybody can do it. This is not going to create any issues. Whereas there are some other pranayamas that are not indicated. Like you should not be doing certain pranayamas when you have some certain health condition. So the reason why I wanted to start off with Anuloma Viloma and Bhramari is because these are two pranayamas that anybody can do. And of course, there are certain constraints as to when you can do it, because the main one being on an empty stomach. And so it's a perfect way to just move into that pranayama space and start incorporating just one or two pranayama, barely 5 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes in the
Right.
morning, and then another 5-10 minutes in the night before you sleep. So just doing these few pranayamas and just doing it for 1 week and seeing how you feel after that 1 week with this pranayama. Because in the morning, it activates you.
That's right.
It cleanses your nadis. It activates your agni. It gets you ready for the day. And at night, it prepares you and it readies you for sleep. And I think for me, it's been invaluable. Pranayama, whether it was my sinusitis, insomnia, all sorts of, and more than anything, quality of life, the quality of your
Of
breath.
course. Yeah.
I think that is magical. Like when you start realizing the very quality of your breath can change the quality of your mind, and the kind of clarity of thought, the kind of clarity of of how you want to think and how you retain information and how you process information and how you are interacting with the external world changes as your breath changes and the awareness in
Right.
your breathing changes. So
Okay.
I think that is an invaluable thing for me personally. And it's been my dream to spread the word of Ayurveda. And my teacher, Dr. Vasant Lad, he doesn't give a chikitsa without giving a pranayama to everybody. So he gives everybody a pranayama, he gives everybody a meditation, and he gives everybody a virechana. So he says, so cleanse your prana, cleanse your mind with meditation, and
Yeah.
cleanse your gut with the virechana. Virechana is cleansing, so it's a double
Okay.
cleansing. So it's something like Triphala is a
Right.
virechana.
Okay.
So these are three things that he says you have to have in your chikitsa. And so pranayama is very much a part of an Ayurvedic chikitsa. So we always give people either, some people can do all the pranayamas, like we have a set 7 number of pranayamas that, and some people can do all of them. Some people we give them specific pranayamas for
Right.
their health issues. For example, Bhramari is also very good for people with thyroid issues. Anuloma Viloma is very good for people with high cholesterol. So there are all these different health conditions where we look at everything and we assess which pranayama is the best with which disease or which dosha. And so it is integral to our chikitsa. It is integral to transforming our bodies and our lives and our minds.
Very
So,
true. Okay.
yeah.
So for someone walking away from today's session, brand new, who hasn't practiced pranayama very much, what should their sequence or plan be moving forward? So just 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, that kind of thing. Is there any point where it can be too long or too much of a practice? So basically, like, what should be the upper limit that somebody going into this brand
So
new should go for?
we're going to share
Okay.
a guidebook with everybody so that we know. For Anulom Vilom, if you do between 7 to 17 rounds of Anulom Vilom is okay. Same with Bhramari, how much ever you can do. And take a break. Always have a break between your pranayamas so that you actually soak in and you stay with the breath. Because
Okay.
we shouldn't make pranayama again. Oh, this is a to do in my list. I got to do my pranayama. I got to do that. So the minute you make it into something you have to do, you actually do not go into your breath. You do not go
Right.
within, and it's again becomes a mechanical action.
Turns into a
So that's
task.
why,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why it's important to sit. The minute you do a few breaths, sit with those breaths, see how the body feels, see how the breath feels. And again, as you end it, again, sit a few more minutes. So that's why I always say, okay, 10 minutes, because even if you do 5 minutes of the actual active breathing, you need those other few minutes just to sit and marinate in the and how the breath work has or this pranayama has made your body feel. So I think that's very important where it's just not like one thing in your day, like you just say, oh yeah, done, done,
Yeah.
done. And I would say just start incorporating Anulom Vilom. You can do it after you take your bath, before you have your breakfast, right after your morning sadhana, wherever. But I would suggest doing it before any morning beverages. It can
Okay.
be after water, but before a caffeinated or a chai or a coffee. So before a drink, and 7 to 17 rounds, and
Okay.
making sure you have a comfortable place to sit. And I would say just start by doing these few rounds of pranayama. So Anulom Vilom in the morning, you can do Bhramari at night. You can do both in the morning. You can do Anulom first and Bhramari second, because Anulom Vilom is more activating and Bhramari is more internal. So you can do both of those in the morning. But I would prefer for most people who are just starting out, do Anulom Vilom in the morning, do Bhramari in the evening. Or for some people who are more anxious and who need a little more grounding in the morning, it's okay to do, it's actually good for them to do Bhramari Pranayama in the morning. So just see how it works for you. Maybe you can try doing both in the morning, one in the night, one in the morning, and just get started. And slowly, as we go forward, we learn all the 7 pranayamas in this package of 7 pranayamas. And we can learn more and go deeper into ourselves and into our breath. And that way, connect to our minds in a better way and be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't registered, make sure you do that on the website so you can receive the guidebook so you know how to proceed in your practice. And there will just be a summary of everything that we learned today. So I think for more or less reaching our culmination of today's inaugural session. So if there's anything you want to close off with, feel free.
Okay. Do we have any comments, any last questions, anything like that?
No, I think we've just about covered everything. Yeah.
Okay,
This
so
was certainly a very brilliant session. I definitely learned tons of new stuff.
today we didn't cover as much as I hoped we would, but I guess I always like to be, I'm always more ambitious. I really wanted to include a meditation session, but I think
Okay.
we can do that. We can table that for later, a
For
meditation
sure.
and some. And there's this other pranayama, which is not your typical ujjayi breathing, but something a little different.
Okay.
So maybe next time we can cover some of the things
Absolutely.
that we couldn't go over today. Again, thank you everybody for being here today. Thank you, Mala, for facilitating this and being such a wonderful host. Thank you to the Kailash-foundation. And for everybody, don't forget to follow my page. It's called Atmavan Wellness. And we will share the guidebook. And let's hope this is a long journey together where we learn more about pranayama, Ayurveda, Marma. Thank you, everybody. And have a
And
great
with
day.
that, thank you. And with that, I really want to thank Dr. Aparna for leading us in today's workshop, our very first one. There will be more, so stay tuned. Make sure you're following Atmavan Wellness, the Kailash-foundation. If you haven't registered, do so you can get the guidebook. And stay tuned for future events because there will certainly be many more to come. And with that, everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again. Thank you.